Welcome back, everybody. It's that time of week. Another episode of That Range Life, a show sometimes about golf. Episode 79. That's Chris McEwen. You know him. This is his YouTube page. I'm Bill Boyce. DriveRangeHeroes.com. Right out of the gate every week. Do us a favor. Subscribe down here somewhere, okay? Go subscribe. If you're watching this on DriveRangeHeroes.com, down in the bottom left, there should be a watch on YouTube thing. Click that. It'll bring you to YouTube and you can subscribe there.
Right.
Like the video just to help us out. Makes a big difference. So they say. Hit the bell for notifications for more great videos. If you hit the bell and you are subscribed, you would have been notified of a great That Range Life on course video.
Oh, is that out? It is out. You're right. You're right. It dropped yesterday as of recording.
Yesterday. No, as of posting, as of publishing.
Yes, correct.
A few days from recording, but it's right. We're proud of this work, and we
if you haven't seen it, we'll put a card. We'll put a card up top. You can click on that after this show and go watch that because that is a something, man. Quite the way to kick off a new series,
for sure. Little side note there. Pre-show catch up before we are saying for sure to each other a lot tonight. For sure. So do all that stuff, please. Thank you. We love you. Appreciate it.
By the way, just real quick.
Yeah.
There's a viewer out there. His name is Frankie. He doesn't like us. He thinks we're boring. He thinks he said somewhere at some point we're on like Social Security disability insurance or something. He's not a fan of ours, but I just wanted to call out that I appreciate that he's watching. And I don't take offense to it. I love you, Frankie, and I'm sorry that you're so angry about whatever it is that you're angry about, but it's okay, man. It's going to be okay.
I mean,
that's all I'm going to say about that.
We can help with guidance and decision making if it upsets you that much, and tell you what, I could use some of that, I'll just tell you lately, I could use some of that social security disability. Like it probably would help me more than my actual health care. Just saying. Right. But yeah, Frankie, bud, thanks, man. Love you too, man. Everybody's favorite Chicago sports show, That Range Life show, sometimes about golf. I think we'd be remiss to not mention what has happened with the Chicago Cubs. And I know you're a big Cubs fan. I want to kick this off by saying, I am a Chicago sports fan. I am I like the sport of baseball, so I'd like to see both the teams play well. I will not tell you I bleed any colors or live and die by either team at all. I enjoy watching them play well and be exciting to watch. Right. So, part of that is being aware of what you put onto the field and creating that product. And it seems to me that the removal of Anthony Rizzo, Chris Bryant, and Javi Baez from your team,
and Craig Kimbrell, although he didn't hit as hard, but I mean they traded whatever it was like. And I love
a lot of the Ricketts defenders or whatever being like, well, Baez in a strikeout, so like the logic just isn't there. I'm like, it is just flat out. If you're a sports fan, it is just flat out depressing. And I am unreasonably not emotional. Like my guys are gone. Like just so upset as a Chicago sports fan. And I think it's like, again, similar to like Blackhawks, dollar bill warts, trauma, all those years. Like why? Right. Oh my God. And then the Ricketts crying about not having money and just, it's so brutal. And then insult to injury. And you pointed out in a Twitter exchange, like, yeah, Rizzo's playing for the Yankees wearing his Cubs shoes and batting gloves. And he's had 2 home runs in his first 2 appearances. Baez hits a homer in his first Mets game. Bryant hits a homer in his first Giants game. And you're like, oh, God.
Yeah, it was. So I'm not like you. I am a legitimate, pretty hardcore, diehard Cubs fan. I was raised on Cubs baseball, the whole thing, right? Although I will say, initially when it all happened, there was some emotion involved. Mm-hmm. and the money aside and the ownership aside and the decision making aside, like there is a business aspect to it. I don't know that I think the Cubs may have gotten the best years out of both Bryant and Rizzo.
Maybe. Yeah.
It's very possible. The Javi one really, really hurt because Javi is Javi. I get it. Yes, he's kind of a 3 outcome hitter, as some people will say, 2 outcome sometimes, whatever. But that dude was just, there's nobody that loves playing more than him. There's no one that has a better sort of, set of instincts and kind of field presence and understanding of the game. And he just does things that are just
his ability to create and change momentum, both at the plate, no matter the circumstance, and in the field.
Yeah.
Second
the dude,
to none.
He's just appointment television. The man is appointment television. You just have to watch Cubs games because you're dying to see what he's going to do next. But anyways,
so much swag.
Yeah, it's true. But as far as his offensive liability, I think that's nonsense. Like, no, he's not a Hall of Fame hitter by any means. He's a 260 hitter with 30 home runs, but that's a modern day kind of baseball. Like, I don't know, man. Like
most teams are happy to have a middle infielder doing that for them in their lineup right now.
Yeah. So anyways, initially there was a lot of emotion. I don't think Cubs fans were used to this sort of thing where you had this team that, made these runs year in and year out, obviously the World Series in 16. And then you go through this sort of fire sale. And I think a lot of teams have gone through this and have had to hit the reset button. The Cubs haven't done this. Like Cubs fans haven't had to experience this sort of thing. It's bizarre. And so there was some motion, but now a few days later, I've kind of, returned to, some sort of normalcy. And I understand that, like I was saying, I think the best days, I think we got the best at bats out of Rizzo. We got the best at bats out of Bryant. Craig Kimbrell was mostly a disappointment. He was bad for a while on the Cubs. Yes, this year he was incredible, but like at some point you had to, it's either from a management perspective, you keep these guys, you don't re-sign them and lose them. And then everyone's saying like, well, why'd you keep them? Or you re-sign them and they don't live up to that contract. And then they're like, well, why'd you spend so much money on these guys? Right. Like fans are fickle that way. And so I think, it was just kind of this inevitability and it had to happen at some point. And, I guess it didn't have to happen with Javi. Javi, I still think has some really great baseball left in him.
He's earning you some revenue regardless.
Right. Yeah. And so I thought we would hang on. I thought the Cubs would hang on to him. And then the other piece of it too is, a lot of people will say, well, they didn't get enough for these guys or whatever, but the market's the market. And you don't know whether or not these guys they traded for are going to do anything. Or, you can't evaluate a trade when they're trading for.
Likely do not run a professional baseball team.
Right.
Or
you can look at the minor league rankings. You can see where they're listed within each organization. Every player I think that they traded for was probably top 20 within an organization, and that was the market, and that's what they got. And so we'll see what comes out of it. Now, fast forward 3 years, if they're the Chicago Bulls and have been rebuilding this entire time, and you still don't see an improvement, then yeah, let's start walking from this baseball team. But
Chicago, nobody does that. Look at the Bears and the Cubs for the last century.
Well, yeah, the Bears for sure. I think they've got those guys. The Bears organization has got away with mediocrity for 20 years.
That's mediocrity's generous. All right, so that's Sports Talk. Frankie, hope you love that segment that has nothing to do with golf.
Right.
Frank. Thanks, Frank. Because Frankie, you're a grown man. All right. So that's Chicago Sports Talk. Let's get into some golf stuff. Gear talk and talk about the new Project X Evenflow Riptide LX shaft. People may remember the Riptide from last year. I think we talked about it on the show, but very popular golf shaft. The line has evolved.
Can you believe that we're going to start? We'll have been doing this show for so long that the next iteration of things that we talked about in an earlier show are now going to start showing up.
Yeah, how about that?
That's crazy.
Because hopefully someone out there is entertained by it. It's not too boring for people to continue on in the family sequences. All right, so yeah, let's get a gear talk about the new Project X Evenflow Riptide LX. You know I love these shafts with a million names to them. Let's get into it. This is gear talk. All right. It was hard to do in here. God, we don't even have to. We're still doing virtual shows. We're the worst. The new Evenflow Riptide LX shaft from Project X. Okay. There are actually two new Riptide shafts. There's the LX, this one, and we'll talk about it in another show, but the MX. LX is your low launch, low spin, right? All you hot shot golfers. This is,
is there a swing speed ish range?
I would say you are likely going to be, and I can't remember verbatim how I said in my review, but you're likely going to be a faster swing player. But oftentimes, I want you to think of like not necessarily the Royal U,
right?
The Project X hazard is smoke black RDX, where it's like you need that faster temper because the temper and tempo. Temper probably doesn't hurt either. You let that anger out for that faster swing speed. To really, I would say, load and unload that golf shaft. Here, you can have a little bit more of a moderate tempo, which is a little wild because the whole purpose of both of these shafts, super low torque. For those who haven't listened or watched to previous episodes, think of torque as the shaft's tendency to go like this as you're swinging, right? It goes from a cylinder into like an oval. Kind of
flattens.
Right, and then has to like regain its shape, and that can create a difference in feel. It can be a loss in energy transfer, which means lack of speed at impact, so lack of distance. Lots of things aren't great. So there's always been the pursuit for the lowest torque possible. Project X has done a great job via the hazardous line for a while, and then the Evenflow lines and Evenflow Riptide has tended to be a little more gradual profile, a smoother, general consistent flex, if you will. Throughout their models, right? And they've been I don't want to say the antithesis necessarily to the hazardous line, but let's think of it that way. Now,
like a cousin.
Yeah, right. But the technology has evolved quite a bit and materials are changing, and these guys are especially hard to do like in lighter weights, and that's where a lot of the lighter shaft movement came in and people trying to find the sweet spots there, and they get too noodly, whatever. But the two new Evenflow shafts are benefiting off of a new material. I don't know what that is, but they are, if I caught this right, I've watched videos, I've read things from Project X. According to them, the new Riptide shafts, the MX and LX, are the lowest torque shafts in their entire lineup. So that counts hazardous, previous Evenflow, you name it, right? Okay. And they don't necessarily feel like it though, because so one of the things they talk about, there's a great video you can watch where Keaton Phillips of Project X in True Sports discusses the difference between this shaft, the previous version, and then the MX, and really what they're doing here. And to make a low torque, super low torque shaft that's going to like maintain its profile and not feel boardy has been very difficult. They did it with these two. And what I will say with this, like, don't get me wrong, if you have a slow tempo, maybe you don't have the speed, like this low launch, low spin LX shaft, it's probably going to feel a little boardy. But I think of a guy like you, maybe, who's, 110-ish, right?
Right. Sure.
You don't have a slow speed or tempo by any means, but you're definitely not. You are definitely not in the same speed and quickness as I am, per se. And I firmly believe that's a hockey thing, not like I'm a hot shot golfer. So please don't take it as I'm saying it.
Fair.
But like, if I was like, hey, I can swing this hazardous smoke black just fine, but you're like, I just really can't get into the ball with it.
Mm-hmm.
This one, I think you'd get a lot of those like hazardous black or smoke black, whatever, anything, in the smoke or the hazardous family, a lot of those benefits, but with that smoother, sweeter, friendlier profile that's not so harsh in its feel.
Yeah.
Now, being this is a low launch, low spin shaft, it does have a little bit of a notable kick point, like in the bottom 2/3 or so of the golf shaft, or bottom third. How are you? Math, it's hard. Right about here. Like you can feel that there is a lower kick point in it for sure.
Okay.
There's another for sure for you. But let's go a little more like anecdotal about this. What I would point out, and I try to convey in my review, there's the term I always use is like, I feel like I can hit it down a hallway, get me in like a long, narrow hallway, and I can just hit a rope right down it. Mm-hmm. You can really feel that low torque in the shaft. I think of it as like staying together throughout the golf swing and at impact, and just being able to like let it rip, not feeling like, well, if I swing too hard, I'm not going to be able to control it, or it's going to squirt the ball left or right. Either way, like it just finds itself in that slot where you need it every single time and holds up well. Great response, easy to control. In short, it's really good. And I think it's interesting. I've seen it in a few places, and I'm not quite ready to do. I just don't have enough time with it. But it's safe to say, like the Fujikura Venta shafts have like taken the golf world by storm for the last season or two.
Sure.
I have heard people say that because they haven't been out for retail for that long, but I think they've been on tour since like roughly February, right? And a lot of people are saying this, the LX and MX are competing with the Ventus a little bit. Now, like I said, I can't fairly say that, but that same sort of effect, I do get that same thing with the Ventus, where it's like keeping it just down the hallway no matter what I do with my swing, right? Like the shaft is doing a lot of the work and control for me. And these new Evenflow Riptides are doing that. Is it better than the original Evenflow? Tough to say. They're very different. The original Evenflow is just a nice, smooth, player-friendly shaft. I think that it was stable. It was great, but I think the LX and MX are a little more impressive, a little more advanced, and definitely have better control to them. I feel like they feel and play like a more premium golf shaft to me, where the Evenflow Riptide was like, it was a fine shaft. It was very good. Yeah. It went through the rotation of trying to figure out my driver swing. I spent time playing it. It was good, but this LX is in there like, okay, wait a minute. I don't know what you guys did this year, but you popped out a good one. And I don't know. It's nearing that magical profile to me. Like, ooh, you guys may have found that magical golf shaft that's pretty rare. I'm not sure yet. Need a little more time. But if you're looking for a super stable, low torque, smooth, player friendly, low launch, low spin shaft, this one will do it. One thing I will say, yes, it's low launch, low spin. But if you're like, you know what? I still like to hit more of a mid ball. I just want to take that spin down and feel like I can knock it down. Yeah. This guy can do it. Like, one thing I appreciate about it is it's sort of Swiss Army knife. When you need to get the ball in the air, or you do want to just take it up from that. I think I was hitting it roughly like 10 degrees for a launch angle. If you do need to take it up, you're not going to have a hard time doing it. And a lot of that stability we talked about not only makes it easier to control and flight the ball differently, but you need to draw it, you need to fade it. All of that play control comes in this thing from that stability and just a really precise feel it gives you. So,
all right.
That's what I have to say. Any questions? Any questions before we wrap up Gear Talk?
No, I don't think so. We'll put the link for the full review in the description, as well as the unboxing, because you unbox both of them. So you give a little bit of information on both, but we'll we'll save a full review for the MX.
Yeah, and I have a few
future
more
episode.
I have a few more comments on this in relation to the two of them and how we're gonna use them. But I want to wait till we talk about the MX before we go down that path.
Okay.
But yeah,
interesting. Yeah.
Check this guy
the whole
out.
torque thing. The whole torque thing is fascinating to me. So basically, they kind of took a previous model and they improved it through, less torque. It sounds like, really.
Yeah, and I think gave it a little more character, a little more personality, for lack of a better way of putting it. Again, the original Evenflow is very good. I'm sure a lot of people keep playing it, but
I was gonna say that's a pretty popular shaft. Even I recognize that shaft for sure.
But this one seems to have its own, like a little more of its own individuality, like stand out a little bit more.
Okay.
And I frankly, I've felt very little like it in terms of, wow, like they aren't lying. You can feel that it's super low torque, but historically, low torque means rebar, telephone poles, tree trunks. They're like you got to be dusting. I don't think you need to be dusting to swing this. They do bill it as a moderate tempo, like I said, low launch, low spin shaft. So, I mean, you can't listen. You aren't going to be swinging the club 82 miles an hour.
Right.
And, just really nice and easy. You're like, and load this thing up and get the most out of it. You're not going to.
Right.
But you don't have to be Dustin and Rory to do it.
Yeah. That's a good way to put it, I feel like.
Well, hopefully. All right, check that out at drivingheroes.com, and Kris will do all the carding, linking, whatever. He's the YouTube wizard. He's got it. All right, that was Gear Talk. Thanks, Kris.
Thanks.
All right, wow, what a riveting Gear Talk we had this week, folks. Okay, Kris, you played some golf this weekend, you lucky son of a bitch. How'd that go?
I did. I played today with one of our favorite golfers, the Riv, at one of mine and Riv's. You haven't played this one with us yet, but you need to. We went and played. It's one of our favorite courses. It's actually 3 9s, and do it. It's called the Links at Carillon.
You know what's funny? My uncle-in-law, the father of those guys I played golf with the other week.
Okay,
their dad lives in that community, and I just
is that right?
Never done it.
That's funny. You need to come out and play sometime. We played. There's red, white, and blue 9s. We played red and blue today, which is kind of a rarity. Usually we get red and white, but they're doing some work on white or whatever. But that course, those courses, however you want to explain them or describe them, they're never cart path only. Never.
Okay.
It's open every day of the year. They never close. And the course is always it's $50. I think I paid $50 with a cart today. It's always in tremendous shape. It's so consistent. It's so good. I don't know if it's the people because, it is a neighborhood golf course. I don't know if it's because people respect the course so much and they fix every divot and fill everything and fill every divot, whatever.
If I'm not mistaken, it's part of a it is a retirement community, and I want to say part of their HOA goes to that place, and it's a place like, hey, I like to golf. That's a good place for us to go retire.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it's gated. You have to go through a gate to get that, to get there and everything. It's not private or anything, but it used to be private. But now it's obviously open to the public. But yeah, and shout out to Bill, not you, but the ranger, the marshal that was driving around, who stopped and chatted us up at least 3 times. He was awesome. Just an old dude that's just kind of enjoying life and loves golf. And he didn't
think you were too boring.
He did not.
Okay.
He did not.
Okay.
It's true. It's true. He enjoyed our conversations. We were doing a bunch of filming out there.
Yeah.
And so he asked, what is all this stuff? And I said, we have a YouTube shot. We have
You have a really boring YouTube show that a lot of people still watch, but
Right. And so, but he loved it. He's like, oh my God, that's so cool. He took one of my cards and he's like, go talk to this guy at the golf, when you get back. And it was a whole thing. But that dude was awesome. We had a lot of fun with him. It was funny because I couldn't remember his name. And I went to the desk and I'm like, hey, I just want to say the marshal that was out there was super cool. We really liked him. I mean, we really enjoyed talking to him.
And that you going in for a follow-up effort and or compliment to someone, it has to be a real deal.
That's
if it's anybody but our friendly neighborhood golf pro.
Right. So I really did want to make a point of going in. I'm trying to do that more often. I'm trying to we tend to talk about the negative so much. Like I want to be able to go and express gratitude.
You're trying to get out of the McEwen funk. I get it.
It's true.
Right.
But anyways, I went in and the guy was like, well, there's 2 of them out there. And, and he's like, and he said, did he tell you about the 2 hole-in-one rule on the front and back nines? I'm like, yes. He's like, oh, that's Bill. Like he just did a bit. Like the guy just has a bit, right? Because he drove up and he said, I just want you guys to know that there's a 2 hole-in-one limit on the front and the back. That's how he kind of came up and addressed us. Like, it's one of those guys. It's one of those.
I get. So at first when you said it, I'm like 1 on the front, 1 on the back, but no, I get it now. Got it.
Right.
Okay.
So this is a guy who's got his bits lined up, and that's how he came over and talked to us.
In the Caroline community. He was dreaming of this job when he was 42.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So, but yeah, he was awesome. So anyways, I did play. I got to play around with the Arccos Caddie link, which a review will be coming to this channel soon. And I also got to play around with the SX 550 Sky Caddie, which will also a little video coming out for that. I think maybe the unboxing for that has already dropped, maybe, or it's next week.
It's soon. It's coming.
It's either this week or next week.
Subscribe, hit the bell. You'll know if it has, or if it's not, you'll see it soon.
Do all those things. So it was a fun round. It was just Josh and I playing. The other twosome that were going to join us bailed. One of them this morning, as he was getting into his truck to drive to the golf course, this is a true story, sneezed and his back went out.
There's no jokes to be made because I could very much do that myself. Very much.
So he was out. He's like 33 years old.
Was it Rando?
No, it wasn't. No, you haven't met this guy. So anyways, that happened. And then, so I just wanted to, you brought this up that I played today, and I need to tell you that after using the Arccos Caddie, and we talked about my putting in previous episodes and how bad I was at it. According to the Arccos Caddie, it's 1 round, mind you, but it does the strokes gained thing, which is really cool. There's a really nice interface on it. I had like a 2.4 strokes gained with my putter today. So I'm just going to put that out there.
I mean, to be fair, when I was giving you a hard time about your putting, your strokes gained was probably pretty solid. It was just the unreal amount of work you were having to do for it.
So I eliminated, here's what I did, Bill. It's crazy. I eliminated the first putt that was terrible. And instead I would just make that putt.
Turns out that helps.
So that was, that was my secret sauce today. But literally, I can't tell you the number of, I think they broke it down between 10 and 25, like 10 to 25 foot putts. I bet you I made 8 to 10 of them today.
I believe it because I've seen you putt.
It was impressive. Even Riv, who plays with me all the time, was like, "Holy cow, man! Like you were just not missing those putts. They felt like 3-footers, straight up. They just felt like I'm just gonna sink this putt right now.
Don't worry, because when I play with you this Friday, we'll see.
Yeah, we will see because those greens are going to be a little different. I have a feeling.
You have no effing idea. It's like top 2, and given they've been redone since I've last seen them, but they're like top 2, 3. Like what the F?
Were they super quick, or was it just undulation, both? All
of the above.
Okay.
It's like you talk about country club greens. And the differences, this was country club greens and the differences.
Yeah. All right.
That's good. I'm glad. It sounds like you boys had fun.
We did. My ball striking was not great off the tee. Off the tee, all those strokes gained with the putter were lost. Yeah. Off the tee. It was not great.
That'll make two of us since getting my feet back under me, so to speak. My tee game, my wedge game's still pretty good. My iron game's I don't know if good's the right word because I don't know it. Like we're still getting to know each other quite a bit. Yeah. But there's something there, so I'm not too worried about it. It's just we got to click. That tee game though.
Yeah, I don't know. Like it's bad.
I'm
really
ready to be like John Claffey. Need you to hurry up with the new Tour Edge Pro 721 driver. And go, wait a minute, I have I'm playing the most forgiving, easy to hit driver on the market by them. Yeah. And the last thing that's going to fix a tee problem is the harder to hit pro one.
Yeah, I know.
Oh boy. Now, great. We're a week out and I'm starting the yips already.
I gotta tell you though, I can scramble like a boss, man. I can scramble all day. It's just, if it takes me, 4 shots to get to scrambling position, that's not great.
No, it's not. It's not great. And I'll tell you, there's some old, actually, I don't know, maybe renovation. Maybe they got rid of a bunch of them, but there's some old trees where we're going.
I'm sure. Yeah.
Speaking of yips, I thought of something we didn't talk about, but the yips have been the talk of the 2020, but really 2021 Olympic Games.
Summer Olympics, yeah.
And we're not going to talk about that, but another, not Simone Biles, but another sport where the yips come out a lot is golf. And the golf wrapped up overnight. Shout out Xander Schauffele for his gold medal win and the 7-way playoff for the bronze medal. Wow, that was awesome.
It's crazy, man.
The whole Rory Sabatini knew he wouldn't qualify as a South African, so he takes his citizenship. I mean, no, it was really to grow the game in Slovakia, but takes his wife and kids Slovakian citizenship. Say what you will, the guy probably did raise awareness for golf in Slovakia, won the silver medal by shooting a 61 on the last day, 10 under par. And Xander had to. I mean, he played okay. He didn't play great per se, but he still put a score up today. Wow, there's a lot of math there. Today, as we're recording, he had to birdie 17 to take the lead, and then had to make like a 5-footer for par to win on 18. It was very exciting, exciting. And I love Rory Sabatini was keeping loose on the green, and there was all the girls in for their tournament practicing and talking to him or whatever. That I forgot about this from 2016 and the 2014 U.S. Open at Pinehurst when the two interact with each other. It's so fun. Yeah. But interestingly enough, I forgot who I saw post it, but in the 1904 Olympics, which was the last time before 2016 golf was in the Olympics. Yeah. A guy from Slovakia, I think, took the bronze medal. So Rory Sabatini.
Oh, is that right?
Yeah, wow. The world's top Slovakian golfer, apparently. Where I just said Slovakian, could have sounded more Chicago, by the way. And then I saw some feedback on Twitter that the South Africans were pissed because they're like, this should have been a South African gold medal or a silver medal, but it was awesome. I'm really I think even more so looking forward to the women's tournament now, but I enjoyed it. I thought it was a lot of fun. I think it's wild. The cost, the effort. There's a lot of talk about the caddies, right? The caddies.
Whether or not they should win a medal.
But here's what confuses me. So you have the guys who are like, oh, that's a Japanese player with an American caddy, or English caddy on a German's bag, or whatever. Right. Well, how does that work? And then it's you make a cut in a professional tournament, you get paid. In the Olympics, I don't know if I think they do a cut, and then if you don't get top 3, you get nothing. And I'm sure there's some sort of incentive. And yes, I know obviously the country's Olympic committee is paying some of the bills, but if Rory's not worried about it financially. Justin Thomas is not
Right.
worried about what happened to him financially doing this.
Right.
But there are guys who went and played in that tournament who did not fare well financially. I'm sure out of this, I'm like, that just is a pretzel my brain can't handle.
Yeah, it's a nice sentiment. I get it, but the logistically, it's just not realistic.
But it's
That's
awesome.
what it comes down
I
to.
hope they keep doing it. I love it.
I loved it too. I know there's a lot of, you'd be shocked to know that Twitter, golf Twitter did not, everyone wants to fix it. And I get it. Like, yeah, match play would be a lot more fun, whatever, but it doesn't mean we can't enjoy the current version.
It makes me,
which I did.
God, I hate golf. Here's how I consumed it. So I said, I'd watch a little bit at night, but with kids, my wife, like, no one wants to watch at 8:00 at night, the Olympic golf. So last night though, I'm like, hey, I do want to watch some of this. And, I got texted for a work thing at like 10:45 and I'm like, oh. So I go down to my computer. I'm like, and really end up not having to do anything. I'm like, I'm going to watch some of this on my computer. Okay. So I watch some of them. Like, all right, I'm going to go lay in bed and watch it on my phone while I fall asleep watching it. And I'm not kidding you. At 2:13 in the morning, I wake up.
Oh, nice job. Well timed.
Hideki is putting and the graphic shows up in the corner of the screen and it says he's on the 18th. And I'm like, wait a minute. Hideki is in the last group.
Yeah.
Oh, hang on. This is it. And sure enough, they're like, Matsuyama has to make this putt to make his way into a playoff with a bunch of guys for the bronze medal. I'm like,
right.
So wait, it's a playoff for bronze. What? Gold and silver. And then Casey's up, but I don't want to like switch over to an app or something to not watch what's happening. And like, Paul Casey has to make this putt to make a 7-way playoff for the bronze medal. I'm like, God, come on. And then sure enough, Xander Schauffele has to make this to win the gold medal.
Right.
If he misses,
a playoff.
He will go into a playoff with Rory Sabatini for the gold and silver. And I was like, there you go. And sure enough, he makes the putt. But I'm not kidding you. 2:13, I woke up. 2:15, I think the thing was done. It's like, that's how you do it.
Yeah.
And then, of course, I'm like, well, there's a 7-guy playoff for bronze right now. I want to know what happens there. It's like, you got to go to bed, dude. Go to bed. Sad. So what do I do instead? August 1st, big Lego release day. My son's been eyeballing, saving birthday money for. So I started looking through the social media about that. That's what I was doing at 2:20 this morning. And I'm like, God, you put the phone down, you idiot. All right. I think we got a show. We talked Legos. We talked Olympics.
Checked all the boxes. Chicago sports.
The
usual. It's just the usual show now.
I hope for those who love our show and are friends of ours and have supported us from the beginning, thank you. We appreciate it. If you're wondering, I am doing a lot better. I started running today for the first time since getting better. We can talk about that on another show, but it's been an experience.
We should.
Been an experience. Thank you for sticking with us. Love you guys. You're the best. Like we say, leave some comments below, like, subscribe, do the works. All right. You know the game by now.
Right. Tell a friend. Tell them that this is Kris McEwen's YouTube page. Subscribe here. Do the stuff. Go follow him at Kris McEwen. All of the social medias. I'm Bill Bush. DriveRangeHeroes.com. You can follow us at Range Heroes on pretty much everything. Episode 79 in the books. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you next week.